stop lying to ourselves. The word federal was brought to life by the American election. Each state has its own electoral body because it is essentially a country within a larger country. That was what our fathers agreed. Nobody agreed a situation where a clueless man will sit down inside a rock in Aso and begin to issue edicts and diktats to every other person. Nobody signed on for that in 1960. All the constitutional conferences beginning from 1948 all the way to the 1951, all the way to 1960, each and every one of them was very clear and unambiguous. Nigeria was meant to be a federal system based on parliamentary democracy. It wasn't by accident that our fathers settled on parliamentary democracy. They wanted to make democracy as close to the people as it could be. So it simply meant that if you're a parliamentarian, you knew your people knew you. It was the aggregation of the parliamentarians that determined who became the prime minister, and they were also the ones at the regional level who determined who became the premier. So democracy was devolved. It was easier for the people to become involved. What we have today is not a democracy. What we have today is not a federation. We've just become a nation of liars who readily accept every lie that we are told.
Adele, a lot of people are quick to argue with you that even if we had it right with a parliamentary democracy, but look at the elections prior to independence, that leadership was skewed to a certain area and the government of national unity was formed with a certain area. And it had to be that way because this was the British contraption. And so some will also argue with you, maybe anyway, if it's simplistic, that, if it was that good, why did we have the wet-tear killings of the 60s that made the young guys in the military say they want to liberate their country? If it was that good, why did we still have the likes of Omini Jojo and Okotiebo? If it was that good.
See, when people bring these facile arguments, they are not simplistic, they're actually quite facile. I quickly point out something to most Nigerian commentators. There is a deficiency in our educational system, an deliberate deficiency. Our rulers, having nothing to be proud of, quickly ensured that history ceased being taught in our schools. What you just said is not completely correct. Let me try and break it down for you. The wet-tear phenomenon in the western region is a result of something else. You can't treat it in isolation. You have to look to the TV riots. You have to look to the Jos riots. An hegemony lost power or would have lost power if it did not find a counterbalance in the West. That hegemony was the one that encouraged the split in the AG. Not that there weren't disagreements, but there was a need to balance power, so there was a split. Conflicts are inevitable part of every society. Now, people keep pointing to the problems in the West. They keep pointing at the excesses of the likes of Okotiebo, but I say something to you. If you compare where we are today and where we were in terms of corruption now, between 1966 and today, you will find that if corruption was, Nigerian corruption was a toddler in 1966, today it's become a feral monster that is taking everything away, sucking up all the oxygen, eating up all the resources, and assuring the poverty of the Nigerian people. Whether things were El Dorado based on that agreement that governed our independence or not, that's another ballgame. We can have that discussion. But it does not change or invalidate the fact that the basis of the agreement for the Nigerian Federation, hear that, federation, is no longer a federation. The basis of the Nigerian state was that it would be a federation and that it would also operate a parliamentary system. That does not mean that it should have ended there. We were evolving. Part of that evolutionary process was what led to the creation of the Midwest region. There were constitutional developments that were interrupted in 1966. But when that interruption happened in 1966, nobody has asked the Nigerian people how they wish to be governed, by who they want to be governed, and by what system of government. All that has happened is that succession of armed bandits have sat down and dictated how Nigeria must be ruled. And it's never been for altruistic reasons. So I beg to disagree vehemently with anyone who is suggesting that we are better off today than where we were in 1966. If that should even be the case, why isn't anybody asking us?
No, but the point I was trying to make was, what about the point of the British? Because this was the constitutional, parliamentary, Westminster-style democracy. But let's not forget the gerrymandering that went on in some parts of the country that automatically made some part had more seats than other parts. That automatically said Nnamdi Azikiwe that won those elections must form government with another person.
Anyway, see, it's not an argument.
No, it's fine.
It's not an issue about who is right and who is wrong.
No, it's fine.
Okay. If you want to comment.
No, it's fine. But here is the thing, right? I don't want to find myself trapped in a binary vision situation. This is not me saying that it is all or nothing to 1966. I am pointing out the fact that we abandoned what we agreed in 1966. And in abandoning what was agreed in 1966, what we ended up with today is not what we have ever discussed, talk less of agreed. And what we have ended up with hasn't delivered anything better than what we have abandoned. So there is really no basis for suggesting that perhaps maybe the right decision was taken. It can't be right or wrong if we are not consulted. Nigeria is today not a federal system. Let's stop lying to ourselves. The word federal